What's up? A to Z Sports here live on this Friday. Hope everybody is having a good Friday. I say good Friday probably 52 times a year, and it's actually only Good Friday one time throughout the year that I say that. But hope everybody's off to a great start for this Friday and sending you into the Easter holiday weekend. Talking NFL draft, Zach, this morning. 3 positions the Titans must draft in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. And so we'll discuss several different strategies the Titans can and could and probably should, at least in our opinion, take when it comes to their first 3 picks in this year's upcoming draft. So positions of need, positions they got to fill, and they have to fill with a high priority in their top 3 picks. So we'll discuss that. Also, we'll settle the score. We've had this conversation now for a couple weeks, Zach, on how do you actually say Rand's name and how do you actually say Aziz's name? And so we'll play that before we get to our good news on this Good Friday to wrap up our week. Zach, welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, got a lot to talk about, and we will find out about Rand and from Rand himself, which is going to be good. And
right.
We'll get the chat's reaction. We'll get your reaction when we will have a great show on this Friday, on this Good Friday. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out link by link, segment by segment on our YouTube page, on our Twitter page. So those YouTube links will go out on Twitter at A to Z Sports. Follow us there. That's a great follow. Always at ATOZ Sports on Twitter. We got you locked in. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. That helps you guys out because the community grows and more people are in the chat, which means more opinions, which really makes the show better. So subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. Our subscriptions are climbing close to 15,000. That's what we're trying to get. We need your help to get there. If you've already subscribed to our YouTube page, like the show before you go. You're just getting started, so you're not going anywhere, but like the show right there if you are watching on YouTube. Facebookers, what's going on Facebook? Bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. As we say every single day on this show, sharing is caring and caring is sharing. Share the show on Facebook. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. How that works is you guys share the show and we pop up right in that news feed so other people can jump in here and the community continues to grow. So more people are going to pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. As they do, share the show, subscribe, do all of those other things, and let's get this party started on a Friday.
Yep, we'll do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline at A to Z Sports, and also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok for more great Titans coverage. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us. And they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage rates and service. Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Zach, we've talked a lot over the last, it's probably middle of last week when a couple people started mocking one of these quarterbacks to the Titans. We've talked a lot of quarterbacks and the Titans, and that doesn't even include the Lamar Jackson aspect of this offseason and what it's been. But we've talked a lot of quarterback lately. But now let's talk about more than just the first round. Let's kind of move this out to the other rounds in the NFL draft and what the Titans need to do, because we know they need to improve their roster and get impact players in year one in this draft. So here is real quick is an overview of the picks the Titans currently have in this 2023 draft that's coming up in under 3 weeks from now. They've got 1 pick in every round minus the 4th round. That just leaves them with 6 picks. But those top 3 picks, 3 selections as of now in the top 72 picks of the draft, those are going to be very important. So I think when you're looking at a draft, a lot of times what I look at is how can they fill these needs and which positions do they need to prioritize in the first 2 nights of the draft for the top 3 rounds. And so we want to get everybody involved here by asking them, what 3 positions must the Titans take in the top 3 rounds of this draft? And Zach, as a whole, how do you feel about the quarterback conversation and really where this fits as we dive into the top 3 positions to address here in a second?
Well, to start with the quarterback, Rand and Mike Vrabel have got to be committed to the quarterback that they're selecting. They have to fall in love with that quarterback. Malik Willis was a different story last year because I believe John Robinson, who's no longer the general manager, who was obsessed with that one word called value, went back to his obsession, and he drafted the quarterback to get value at round 3 because Malik fell. But everybody and their mother knew that Malik Willis was a developmental quarterback out of Liberty, right? I mean, we knew that even before he was drafted. It was a bad quarterback draft class. It was not a deep quarterback draft class last year when you're really only talking about 3 main quarterbacks in Pickett in the first round, Desmond Ridder, and Malik Willis. The Titans cannot do that with that position because John Robinson did that with the quarterback position twice before with a guy we mentioned yesterday in Luke Falk and a guy we mentioned yesterday in Cole McDonald, trying to get value at the quarterback position late in the game. And that literally is throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Right.
Sometimes when it's, Tom Brady is the stickiest spaghetti string in the history of football, but that is an anomaly. It is a straight up anomaly. Usually, if you look at the landscape of the NFL, you have got to take your quarterback in the upper rounds, and the upper rounds really being round 1. You've got your Dak Prescott, you've got your Russell Wilsons. That happens, but those are few and far between. So whenever the Titans decide to find their new franchise quarterback, and it may be this year, but Ryan Tannehill's still playing, and I believe that that's probably the path that they should take. I know that you've kind of pushed back on me on that after June, you can move off of Ryan Tannehill because of the contract structure and the money that you can save, which is not incorrect. But I think that everybody besides Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are developmental quarterbacks. And there's no better way to develop a quarterback than having a seasoned veteran teach and have him learn behind a guy in Ryan Tannehill who knows how to do it the right way. His ceiling is just lower. So you're drafting a guy whose ceiling is much higher. At least that's why you draft him. So, that's the quarterback position. But let's face it, the Titans they have team needs at other positions.
Sure. They do. And so I'm going to dive in here and we'll get your opinions on the top 3 positions the Titans must take in the top 3 rounds of this NFL draft. We do have a lot of comments that have flown in answering this question, and I'll get to mine here in a second. Jason says offensive tackle, offensive guard, and the offensive tackle. And then you've got Denise throwing in tight end, cornerback, and wide receiver. Mr. Jones says quarterback, wide receiver, O-line. Josh says wide receiver, O-line, defensive back. John on YouTube says quarterback, wide receiver, and tackle. Demetrius says wide receiver and O tackle, offensive guard must happen now. Not, don't forget about quarterback till next year, I guess is what he's saying there. Caleb says O-line, wide receiver, and corner, the weakest positions on the team. Eric says quarterback, O-line, wide receiver. Steven says quarterback, wide receiver, and left tackle. So there's a lot of similarities there. Matt throws in a new position that we haven't really seen yet in the comments. Wide receiver, O-line, and edge. O-line, linebacker, and tight end coming in from Derek. Zach, I'm going to start this off. I think the most obvious answer here is the wide receiver position, right? Because we know the Titans have not addressed that at all. Like, they've had more subtraction than addition at the wide receiver position this offseason because the only move they've made is bringing back Nick Westbrook-Akine, and he was already here. They cut Robert Woods, who led the team in receptions and yards last season. So there is more subtraction. Now, that was the right move, but they haven't brought in anybody else. And so, in my opinion, a position they absolutely must take in the top 3 rounds is the wide receiver. And it could be at any of those first 3 round picks. It could be at 11. It could be at 41. It could be at 72. But I think with passing on the free agency crop, if you get to day 3 where they don't have a 4th round pick that leads off day 3 and the Titans have not taken one wide receiver, then you're really saying, what the hell are you doing? And I think why I think the wide receiver is obvious, and we can go deeper into this, is there's not like the bona fide stud wide receiver who is a lock to be a top 12 draft pick. And we've seen in the past, there's been multiple of the guys like that who have been locked top 12 draft picks or top 15 draft picks, having 5 or 6 wideouts going in the first round. There's really not that this year. And so you don't have to do it at 11, but you absolutely have to do it on day 2 if you don't on day 1. So that is my number 1. My number 2, Zach, is offensive line, because that was the worst position group as a whole, I think, on the team last year. They've done something to address that. You have to take an offensive lineman in the top 3 rounds there. And so I think offensive line is obviously key. And we've seen this Titans franchise take an offensive lineman to be a well above average starter in all 3 of these rounds in history, right? Lawan's a 1st round pick that worked out very well. Michael Ruse was a 2nd round pick who obviously worked out very well. And then Jack Conklin, a 1st rounder, but you've had Nate Davis's and those type of guys go in round 3. So I think an offensive lineman, at least one of them, has to be drafted in the top 3 rounds. And this is where I think it gets interesting, because I don't think they have to draft the quarterback this year. They could, but they don't have to. I think another position they must address is corner. And corner is probably no higher than the 3rd round. So in my 3 positions, they don't have to take a quarterback. They have to take a wide receiver or O-lineman in 1 or 2. And if they do my top 2, wide receiver and O-line, in the 1st and 2nd round, I think a corner in round 3 would be a smart approach for this team, because you can never have enough corners, and the Titans corners that they've had in the past get hurt. And so I think you've got to have somebody athletic enough to come in and play cornerback, because so many injuries happening with Christian Fulton, Caleb Farley, Elijah Molden last season, where those 3 guys were unavailable for a lot of time. And so you brought in Sean Murphy Bunting, Agent Zero, as Steven just called him. That's great, but you got to have more corners. You can't just have Roger McCreary being the only reliable guy that can suit up every game. So I think that's where I go. 3 positions you must address in those top 3 rounds: wide receiver, O-line, cornerback.
All right. So I'm going to read some comments here in a second, but I'm going to ask you a question about a certain position before I get to the comments and say mine. What about the safety position as a whole because of the Kevin Byard situation?
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I want to bring that up because some feathers have been ruffled over the last couple of months with your all-pro Pro Bowl safety. And where's the depth after that?
Well, you like Amani Hooker. And then after that, I don't know. Right? it's how do you feel about this? Remember they brought in AJ Moore, one of your guys from Ole Miss, and he broke his ankle like earlier in the season. I think it was either at the end of the preseason or like in week 1 or week 2. And so he was done. He was kind of their 3rd safety. But yeah, I think Elijah Molden has safety traits, but not like relying on him to play safety. I think it's interesting. I think if you do see the Titans address the safety position in the 2nd or 3rd round, then you might need to go, what's going on with Kevin Byard?
Well, because Kevin Byard is due the same base salary this year as he is next year. That's $13.6 million.
Right.
So I bring that up because I feel like that gets lost in the mix. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Cole says wide receiver, offensive line, and tight end. Offensive line, wide receiver, and wide receiver. MB's doubling down on wide receiver. Guard, edge, wide receiver, and linebacker. He did 4. We only asked for 3. Let's see here. Going down offensive line, tight end, wide receiver. And offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, inside linebacker. I think the one thing that we absolutely can confirm is that, and I agree with you, Austin, and Chad agrees with both of us, which is you have to address the wide receiver position because that room is awful and young and inexperienced. Mm-hmm. And then the offensive line, because you saw what it did to your season last year. It destroyed it. It just single-handedly destroyed your season because it could not protect your quarterback. And what we found out is the value of your quarterback is greater than, this is wild to say, but is greater than your franchise player, the face of your franchise, Derrick Henry. Because 2 years before Henry got hurt, they still won games. Last year, the quarterback got hurt and they lost 7 in a row and missed the playoffs because of it. Right. So wide receiver, offensive line, I think the chat, you and I are all on the same page. On the quarterback thing, I stand by my, if you are in love with the quarterback and believe that he can be the next face of the franchise and you're not picking him based on value, you're picking him based on because you believe he's the guy, then I do think that you draft a quarterback. Because Austin, I think the odds are in the Titans' favor that they will not pick 11 next year. Mm-hmm. If, like, we're April 7th, we're not at the start of the season, but with Ryan Tannehill, Treylon Burks, Chigakonkwo, and Derrick Henry, and a better offensive line than Dennis Daly can provide, and a defense that gets Harold Landry back, still has Jeffrey Simmons under contract at least, Danico Autry, and the cornerback position, I think, has improved. I disagree with you. I didn't know what you were going to say on that third position. Figured you were going to say wide receiver on offensive line. Yeah. But I don't think you have to draft a cornerback. And this is wild to say, but because of Caleb Farley. They have not cut Caleb Farley yet. Now, Caleb Farley still's got a long way to go, and they've got to figure that out. But he's a first-round pick under contract. Yeah. Right? It's not like you can cut ties with a fourth-rounder and just move on.
The funny thing is you said, I don't think you have to draft a corner because of Caleb Farley. I say, I think you have to draft a corner because of Caleb Farley. Because you cannot count on him helping you.
I don't think that you can count on him helping you, but I still think that they have hope.
I don't know.
I don't agree with that.
I don't know who they is.
They being the Titans.
I mean, but a lot of theys.
Well, their actions will speak. We'll know. Right, but their actions will speak about Caleb Farley this year of what they think about him.
Well, but
I think what they're trying to do is give him more time, pray to the good Lord above on Good Friday to say, can Caleb Farley be somewhat a shadow of the guy that they drafted in the first round?
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. A to Z Sports here live on this Friday, going through the top 3 positions the Titans must pick within the first 3 rounds of the draft. We'll get to more of your comments here in a second. What positions must the Titans draft in the first 3 rounds of this upcoming NFL draft? But Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. I got my new health plan in 2022. I've got that same health plan in 2023, and it's helped me out. If you are in the state of Tennessee, so if you're currently in the state of Tennessee, you can get Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. I live in Nashville. I have Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, and I save 20%, and I have a better coverage for my plan than I did previously. I'm not asking you to just up and switch based on my words. Switch based on your experience of getting a quote. Health, dental, and vision, whether you're single, you're married with children, it does not matter. They've got the perfect plan for you. That's fbhp.com/ATOZ. Get a quote today.
All right, with BetMGM, you can take advantage of what's going on at Augusta down here this weekend by new users or existing users opting in to the promotion with the BetMGM app. All you got to do is place a $20 bet on anything at Augusta, and you immediately get a $10 bonus bet right back in your account. I did this yesterday, and I took advantage of it. I picked Cameron Smith to be a top 5 after round 1. That didn't happen, so I lost that bet, but I got my $10 bonus bet, and then I put on the Preds money line last night and won that back, so I'm good, right? So that's how you can do it. 2 shots at 1 right there with BetMGM for taking advantage of what's going on at Augusta. So check that out right there. $20 bet on anything at Augusta this weekend. Get you a $10 bonus bet instantly. Just opt in to your BetMGM app today for existing customers as well. So Zach, going through our opinions and your comments, what positions must the Titans take in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft? In my opinion, wide receiver, O-line, corner. I think you could just look at any NFL team and not the top 3 rounds, but in every draft, every NFL team, in my opinion, should take a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, and a corner at some point within that draft. I think the Titans wide receiver, O-line, obvious, need to go high. And I think if you can check those 2 boxes in round 1 and 2, a corner makes a lot of sense in round 3. I do not think the Titans must take a quarterback this year in this draft.
I think the quarterback you have to fall in love with. The only team that really there's 2 teams that have to take a quarterback this year, maybe 3, but guaranteed 2, and that's the Panthers and the Texans. They're in prime positions. They have to take a quarterback.
And the Colts.
And I've seen 2 mock drafts of the Colts trading back, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I don't know what and the Colts are weird because Jim Irsay runs that ship. So you never know. That's why I said maybe 3. My third maybe is the Colts because you never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, one thing I don't think we've talked about yet, but like the Colts, you said they're weird because Jim Irsay is running the ship. They also signed, weird Gardner Minshew, right? They got Minshew mania in Indianapolis to maybe be that bridge. So I think the Colts drafting Levis or Richardson to have Gardner Minshew, kind of shoulder the load at least for the immediate, and then see what happens with one of those 2 guys that might not be as ready as Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. So Zach, I'll go ahead and send you to the comments about what other positions.
Well, I've already read the comments. What I'll say is my third position.
Okay.
And I'm between 2, and it's not corner and it's not quarterback, to be honest.
All right.
My first position, I already mentioned, I think safety I think they are going to draft a safety. I think their actions with Kevin Byard have already stated that they are subtly trying to, I don't want to say replace him, but find the heir, right? Find the next guy on top of Byard, because Byard is paid quite a bit of money. I mean, for his safety, he's owed $13+ million this year, $13.6 million next year. And then 2025, I think the one thing about his contract is that you don't have to pay him. If you can get through 2 years, maybe it's a little bit different. I think I'm between safety and then Austin. Here is a position that they addressed, but they didn't address for the long term, and that's inside linebacker. I mean, who's their inside linebackers?
Well,
Aziz.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit, and then
Luke Gifford.
But they also got Monty Rice, who's a 3rd-round pick from a couple years ago and has battled injuries. When he was healthy, played well. And then you've got Dr. Jack Gibbons, who played well in some spots last year as an undrafted free agent, and another Ole Miss guy, Chance Campbell, who I thought looked pretty good in training camp and got hurt and was out for the season with a knee surgery. And so I honestly, in the top 3 rounds, they should not be touching inside linebacker. No. Where'd they get Jayon Brown? What round?
What's the reliability at that position?
I think
all the guys that you just stated have not been consistent or been drafted for the long haul, right?
Yeah,
those are supplemental guys.
But I think we have to
Monty Rice is the highest draft pick, and he
Zach,
has been unreliable because of injury.
But Zach, inside linebacker is a supplemental position. It's not a 3rd round.
I think that's your opinion.
I think for the most part, it is a supplemental position.
The Titans didn't think that when they drafted Rashaan Evans in the 1st round.
but what they show.
I'm just stating.
But my point is, Jayon Brown, 5th round, David Long Jr., 6th round. Azeez, we'll talk about his last name here in a second. He's coming in on a 1-year prove-it deal. That's fine. And then you've got some other pieces you can put together. Like, I don't think
he could be gone next year.
That's fine. They'll figure it out the following year. And Clayton says, Austin, don't disrespect linebackers like that. I'm not disrespecting linebackers. I'm just telling you
I think you're downplaying the position.
Yeah, because the position has been downplayed by the NFL. Like, this is not the early 2000s where you need a freak Mike linebacker. This is not that. You don't need Keith Bullock. Like, you don't need Brian Urlacher.
The teams that have really good middle linebackers, like, what about the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah, that's great. They've got a couple of them. That's great. But what else do they have? What's more important?
What about the Bucks? Devin White and Levante David.
Cool.
Like, what about the Ravens who traded for Roquan Smith?
That's because the Ravens had other pieces and the Bears are ready to sell.
I'm just saying that you're downplaying the position, and maybe the Titans have downplayed the position, but I think that I look at that position and I don't see a lot of anything that is like, woo, they're going to be all over the field. And Austin, what happened to Zach Cunningham last year?
He got hurt.
What happened to Jayon Brown the year before that, or a couple of years ago?
Hurt. What happened to David Long Jr.? He got hurt. What happened
to Rashaan Evans?
He got hurt. Okay, so why are you going to draft a guy that's going to get hurt in the third round?
Because you want a guy who can be sustainable. They've had a problem with that. The position has not been reliable.
It has not.
The way that you want to construct it, or the way that you're saying that they've constructed it.
It actually, if you look at their investment level in the position, it has been pretty good. The investment outside of Rashaan Evans, right? Because that was a unique spot. Let's remember, in that draft in 2018, the Titans' starting roster was set. The only starting job up for grabs in entering that season was inside linebacker. So they took Rashaan Evans at 22 overall in 2018. That's fine. They don't have like the starting roster set by any means. And so if you're talking about positions they must address in round 1, 2, or 3, inside linebacker does not need to be on that list of must address. They can address that in round 5 or 6 or 7 and find somebody.
But they've been doing that, right?
Yeah, and it's worked. And they're showing
they've been hurt.
But
what are you talking about? We just stated how it has been so up and down, Jekyll and Hyde at that position over the last 5 years. What are you talking about? Did you not hear what you said? And then you're saying that it worked.
It did work because they kept finding other guys that could come in and fill it when somebody else got hurt.
It was a merry-go-round.
Yeah, but
that's not how you formulate a position.
But how many
they were getting guys off the street or 7th-round picks?
Here's
Gifford played well, or at the end of last season. The linebacker. Say again.
Who'd you name?
The linebacker that played well at the end of last season.
Who'd you name?
No, that's what I'm asking.
You said a name. You said a name.
It's not Gifford though, because they just picked him up.
Gibbons.
He played well. I don't know how sustainable that is. I don't think you know how sustainable that is. And I don't think the Titans know how sustainable that is. That was in a spot at the end of the year, and they were losing those games.
Zach, whenever we watched Titans football games last season, the amount of things to complain about before you got to inside linebacker play was a lot more than 3. And if you're talking about,
I don't think you could sit here and say that there is a long-term plan at that position.
Yeah, because that's not a long-term playing position.
In your opinion.
Yeah, and that's what
there are plenty of teams in the NFL that have long-term plans at inside linebacker.
That's not how it's going.
I just named 2 right off the bat that are pretty damn good.
But what's long-term?
What do you mean what's
how many years
longer than 1-year contracts? That's there you go. There you go.
Okay, if you're defining long-term as 2 or more years, then that's really not very long-term.
It's a jest because all they have, their starters. How many more years does Monty Rife have under contract?
2 more.
So that's probably the max because you've got Azeez that has 1, you've got Monty Rice that has 2, and you've got the supplemental guys that are just
and the Titans inside linebackers have not been a glaring problem. Their corners, their health, their edge rushers, and that health on those positions, their offensive line, their wide receivers, that's been the problem. And so if you're talking, sure, draft a linebacker 5th or 6th round. That's fine. You've been able to do that and have success with it, but previously. But you don't need, there's no way you must draft an inside linebacker in the first 3 rounds. That's just not, I don't think that's the priority that the Titans need to take.
Well, look, I said between inside linebacker and safety. I think,
so pick one.
I think
not 4, it's 3.
I think second, and I don't know what they're going to do in the first round, right? That's the tipping point. Because if you draft Paris Johnson Jr. at 11, you have to take a wide receiver in the second round, right? You've got a gun to your head. Agreed. So how that shakes out. I do believe that they are going to work to replace the safety position. And so if they took a safety in the 2nd or 3rd round, I don't know what we'll do in first. You're not going to take a safety in the first round. In the 2nd or 3rd round, I would understand it and it would make sense to me. Yeah. Here's the other thing. For the offensive line, I don't know how much the Titans think that the offensive line has been fixed. Like, they signed Andre Dillard because they thought that, I think that they can get value out of Dillard that, he hadn't done as a first round pick.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll go with, a couple comments that I want to get to about the linebacker. Jameson says, I agree. It's not a priority, but I do think Austin is way undervaluing the position. And then Trent says, Austin is right. Not shaming linebacker, but there are more prominent positions that are needed and important to change the composition of the team. You can find linebackers rounds 4 through 6 that can be great. Great. They can be what you need. They can be reliable. They can fill that spot. Well, again, here's the problem. There's only 6 picks. Like, you've got 6 picks. You don't have a 4th round pick. And so now you're having to be very selective. And I just do not think inside linebacker is where the Titans need to go with one of those top 3 picks. They need to, I think I would rather the Titans go offensive line, wide receiver, and double down on one of those 2 before going safety or before going inside linebacker. I'd rather have 2 offensive linemen or 2 wide receivers than another one of those guys. Now, there are some safeties in this class, like the 2 guys out of Illinois, Sidney Brown and Jartavius Martin, that I think makes sense of being that 3rd round safety to maybe be the future if Kevin Byard's gone. But again, that is a definite long play, right? Like, you're looking at a 3rd round safety. If they do that move, then that's also a breadcrumb to maybe Kevin Byard's future being elsewhere. So,
yeah, and I don't know. We don't know truly how the conversations went between Kevin Byard and Rand and the Titans. That will, I think, be telling their actions. I can't wait for this draft to see how Rand actually approaches it, because we got used to knowing how John Robinson was going to do things. Besides, I mean, last year was wild, but we had figured out his draft tendencies. He liked trading down. He liked getting more picks. And then we saw him trade down and trade back up a number of times, right, in the later rounds. That's how he played it. Is Rand a stick and pick kind of guy? I don't know. We're going to find out at the end of this month.
Yeah. Yeah. And, people are bringing up, Jonathan brings up tight end, right? There's a lot of really good tight ends. And if you look at, will Darnell Washington out of Georgia be on the board at 41? If he is, I'm cool with that. Just because I'm saying
I'm not. They need to go wide receiver. They need to figure out their wide receivers before they, I think, figure out their tight ends.
Yeah, but I think that's a what's on the board, what's in the moment situation. Like, if Darnell Washington is there at 41 and a cluster of receivers just went right before you at the end of day 1 or early day 2, and you're sitting there with that cluster gone and your 3rd round cluster still there, and you don't want to go with one of those 3rd round guys at 41, yeah, absolutely take Darnell Washington. I think he would be a great fit with Chig and what they want to do offensively, of being a way better blocker than Jeff Swaim, but also a way better receiver than Jeff Swaim.
What do they want to be offensively in 2024?
I don't know.
That's what they should be drafting.
Yeah, but they also don't know who the quarterback is going to be in 2024.
That's the point. And Derrick Henry's probably not going to be on the team. So, let's just be honest. You're not drafting this year for 2023. You're drafting for 2024. So you got to think about that. So the blocking tight end and the big hog mollies and the run first scheme fit, That's not what you're drafting for, because and personally, they need to go away from that. They need to figure out how to be dynamic, fast, and be able to execute, score touchdowns, something they have not been very good at.
Jameson says, according to Rand, the identity is already set. Quote, he's just going to do, what Vrabel wants at this point. And I think that's ish. Yeah. Right. Like they have the identity. Rand wants to give Mike Vrabel the players that Mike Vrabel thinks fits, and they're going to collaborate on all of that stuff. But, I do think there's a lot of interesting directions this draft can go, and we truly don't have any clue. Because you say you have to draft for 2024. I don't even know what 2024 is going to look like. And I don't know at the quarterback position.
That's Rand's responsibility. When you're the leader, you got to have a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. Rand has got to have his plan to figure out what to do. This draft is for 2024.
But I get that, but I'm saying from our perspective, we and all of the viewers have no idea what that plan is. And we're not going to know what that plan is until some of these draft picks start taking place. Like, we can look into things on, if they do something at round 1, does that mean a long-term change? If they do something like a safety in round 2 or 3, like you said, then that tells you that Kevin Byard's probably not around for much longer. So I think we have to kind of pick up and read between the lines on what actually happens. A to Z Sports here live on this Friday. Zach, let's have some fun. We had a couple conversations 2 weeks ago about names that we frankly weren't sure how to pronounce the right way. So we're going to settle it. How do you pronounce Rand's name officially? And how do you pronounce Aziz's name officially? So we'll play that and have some fun. But first, tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Palisade, the Sonata, the Elantra, the Tucson, the Santa Fe, the fleet of vehicles that they have are your perfect make and model. You've just got to go figure out which one. Test drive one today. Quick trip down I-40, exit 236. Payne Bone and his team, family owned and operated. They even have the Ioniq. All the other cars that I mentioned before are fuel efficient. The Ioniq is battery powered. So, take a look. You never know until you test drive one, but if you're in the market for a car, this is a great time to go by. Maybe you have some time off to test drive, start thinking about what it is. Both Austin and I have test driven the Palisade. I've been in the Sonata. You know that. I love the Sonata. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
With BetMGM, you can win in multiple ways. If you have not signed up for the BetMGM app, you do it using our bonus code ATOZ Sports. You get bonus bets up to $1,000 back if your first bet misses. So you could do that if you haven't signed up. And if you do that and then you want to keep on playing, or for existing users, take advantage of the tournament at Augusta by putting a $20 bet on anything on Augusta and immediately get a $10 bonus bet back. It's a great way to take advantage and watch the golf this upcoming weekend. Should have a lot of fun, and hopefully this weather down in Augusta is okay for our viewing pleasure. But check that out. That's a $20 bet on anything and the tournament at Augusta, and a $10 bonus bet back immediately. So visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and other requirements. Rewards issued at non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. And for problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Two names that I don't think I've had a problem with Rand Carthon. I mentioned that I think you sound like you're putting a little too much Francais in the pronunciation and the emphasis on his last name. And then Aziz, I just think is a tough one, right? We just are not sure. And so this was something we talked about doing a couple weeks ago and having some fun with this. But Zach,
all right, so let's start with this, because I put both of these together, and the Rand thing is going to be an experience, because we're actually going to hear Rand say his name,
right?
And we'll diagnose whether it's right or wrong. Let's start with Aziz, though. So I'm going to, in the chat, this is straight from the Titans email when Aziz was signed, and let's go through this. How would you pronounce at least the phonetic spelling of what we're here with? let's both do this. This is an experiment.
Yeah. Because I think there's some subjectivity in the phonetic spelling,
right?
That's what's so Aziz. I think we understand, right?
Aziz,
Al-Shaair, right? Al-Shaair,
Al-Shaair.
That's
right. And I think before you were saying Al.
Yes, yeah.
But this says all.
Right. Al-Shaair is what but now Devin's up here saying it's Shaair. But this phonetically says Shire.
U-R-R. So let's
sound like we're like these certain frogs that used to get all over your TV commercials back in the day. Ear or
right. All right. So now we were actually sent this, and I do want to give credit where credit is due. We were sent this on Twitter from Titans Kyle.
Yeah.
So shout out to Titans Kyle who sent us this.
He's right there. Yeah. He said, play the video I sent you. Hey,
there you go. So shout out to Titans Kyle. This is a video helping with Aziz's last name.
Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51. Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51.
So it sounds like he's saying Al, not all.
Right.
So let's play it again.
He says it very fast.
And then we'll say it together.
Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51. Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51.
Al-Shaair.
That's what I was saying the whole time. That's what I was saying.
Al-Shaair. Al-Shaair, I thought.
No,
I said
Al-Shaair. No, I didn't do ear. I said Al-Shaair.
Al-Shaair. It's not Al-Shaair. Let's play it again.
Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51. Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51.
Al-Shaair. Al-Shaair.
Al-Shaair. It's like
Aziz
in between.
Al-Shaair.
It's in between Al and All.
It does. Honestly. He says Al.
Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51. Aziz Al-Shaair, number 51.
It's Al. Al-Shaair.
Yeah, which is what I originally said.
We're not now. No one cares. Now we're just trying to figure out how to pronounce it.
Al-Shaair.
Aziz Al-Shaair. Aziz Al-Shaair.
Aziz Al-Shaair.
Al-Shaair with the tackle. Al-Shaair. I really like Al-Shaair on the field. Al-Shaair.
What's Mike Keith going to do? He just might go Aziz. I think Mike Keith will come up with something really creative, explosive, dynamic with Aziz. Mike Keith is going to crush it with it. And Xavier says Austin is trying to mess it up on purpose.
I kind of thought that. I did think that. I did agree with you at point. But I think Jameson has it. It's Al-Shaair.
Yes.
Al-Shaair. Aziz Al-Shaair.
It's more closer to one syllable than it is three syllables, right?
Fair.
Because a lot of people were saying Al-Shaair, like they were trying to break it up.
Al-Shaair.
Smooth.
Al-Shaair. Aziz Al-Shaair.
Yes.
All right. Check that box. Now we get down to the nitty gritty. Now this is the big one because say Rand's name.
Rand Carthon.
Right? And I've been saying Rand Carthon.
You've been saying Carthon.
Carthon. I've said the same thing every day. Carthon. Rand Carthon.
Yeah.
Rand Carthon. Let's hear Rand say his last name.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel for the San Francisco 49ers.
Let's hear him again.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel for the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm Rand Carthon. That is exactly how he's saying.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel for the San Francisco 49ers.
That's it.
No,
so absolutely.
Yours is still different.
Do I have probably a slight more inflection?
Yes.
But you don't have an inflection. And
I'm Rand Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel for the San Francisco 49ers.
Rand Carthon.
No, you do too much.
Rand Carthon.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon.
Rand Carthon.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon.
Rand Carthon.
Hey, I'm Rand Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel.
That's it. It's
Ran
Carthon.
But you separate it. You're treating it like it's three
But
words.
you were wrong. I do want to. You were not correct. It's Ran Carthon. Listen,
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director of Pro Personnel for the.
I'm Ran Carthon. He doesn't say Ran Carthon. He says
I didn't say that
Ran
either.
Carthon.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
Ran Carthon. I've been saying Ran Carthon. You know why, Austin? Because I watched that video the day he was hired.
But again,
hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
It's Ran Carthon.
You put
he puts an inflection on thon. It
No.
is, and look at the bottom of the screen. It is lowercase CAR, uppercase THON. That was how you would put it. Ran Carthon.
Zach,
it's Ran Carthon.
You still overemphasize
I'm saying it the exact same way. Ran Carthon.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
That's the exact same.
Now you are.
No,
there is.
Austin, I've listened to the show. I said it before the video, and I'm saying it after the video. You were incorrect.
Ran Carthon? I said Ran Carthon.
Yeah, it's Ran
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
That's the point. You're wrong.
I just think. I
know you just think,
Zach,
but it's straight from the horse's mouth.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
I think you, at times on the show, have been overemphasizing the thon. We've talked about that. You try to garçon. You try to like French.
I don't say garçon. I don't say carton.
But Zach,
do not see. Now you are exaggerating what you think I'm exaggerating. I never once said carton. You know, no, I'm not in The Little Mermaid.
No, I didn't. Okay. You, at times throughout the last couple of months, have overemphasized the thon. You have.
Carthon.
That's better. That's not what you were doing.
I've said Ran Carthon is a part of my language and has been since the day he was. And people were giving me crap for it. But the emphasis is on thon. It is. Look, this is the phonetic spelling right there. I did it for you. It is Ran Carthon. You want to listen to it again?
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
That's it.
But again, like you're saying,
do you understand that the emphasis is on thon?
But again, I agree. And on this show, you have been saying it correctly. But previously, you have been overemphasizing the thon.
You've been saying it wrong for the entire time.
How have I been saying it?
Say it. Well,
Ran
now
Carthon.
You may say it correctly, but
Ran Carthon. Ran Carthon.
Yeah, Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
The emphasis is on thon. You're putting them all together. But listen to Ran say it himself.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
Ran Carthon. Ran Carthon. 3 syllables. Ran Carthon. Not Ran Carthon.
I think it's like
Ran Carthon.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director.
He's saying it. We have evidence. If this was somebody else saying it, then I think you could state a case, well, we don't know. But this is the man, his mother birthed him. This is his family tree. Like, this is what it is.
Okay, because so
Ran Carthon. So let's settle.
Ran Carthon. Yes.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
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 Not Carthon.
I'm not saying
Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Carthon.
Carthon. Yes.
Carthon.
Carthon.
Carthon. Say it in 2 syllables.
It's not 2 separate words.
Say it.
Ran Carthon. Ran Carthon.
Say car. Then say thon.
Thon.
Now slowly say Carthon.
Carthon.
That's it.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, Director of Pro.
Ran Carthon. Like it's like again.
Yeah, it's Carthon.
Right.
Ran Carthon.
I have not been saying Carthon, Zach. Like I've been saying I emphasize car and thon the same. That's where I feel like it is. I feel like Carthon. They're both emphasized. The K and the th are the same. Ran Carthon. You've been doing like Carthon. Like you have like an upward, not today, previously. You have like an upward inflection on the thon. Again, I don't think I've been off. I think I've been consistent with Carthon.
You're crazy. You have not, because he's saying Carthon. You were upset at me for emphasizing the thon. This is actually what started this whole conversation 2 weeks ago. when actually what needs to be emphasized is the thon.
I still think you're overemphasizing.
I know you still think, but we have evidence.
All right.
Ran Carthon.
So Aziz
Al-Shaair.
Aziz Al-Shaair ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Does it sound weird yet?
The thon a little bit more.
Have we gotten to the point to where if you say the same word over and over and over, it starts to sound weird and fake? Because I think I'm there. Carthon.
You need to emphasize thon more. Listen.
Hey, I'm Ran Carthon, director.
Thon. So emphasize the thon a little bit more. Come on.
Maybe I need to go a little more. I think you still need to go a little less.
Ran Carthon. So then, all right. We'll come to agreement. Now, give me a little more thon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Now over exaggerate it and then bring it back a little bit. Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Not quick. Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon. You're not doing it.
Ran Carthon. Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
Ran Carthon.
That's it.
It's not 3 words, though.
I understand it's not 3 words. I'm trying to slow it down for you because you're just speeding through it. You're not going 100 miles per hour, but you're going 99.
All right. A to Z Sports here live. We knew that would be ridiculously stupid and fun. I think it depends on, who you are. But anyway, all right. So we settled that. We'll see if it's Friday. Let's see if we remember how to say Aziz Al-Shaair the next time we have to talk about it, because my guess is we're going to mess it up.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Because, we're not going to be talking about him as much over the next, few weeks as we will like in the season. So we'll see if we can retain it. But Zach, let's go ahead and get to Ain't That Good News. My good news has to do with some bad news that you got after the show, which I think will be funny. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to go to and who to trust. And the Bone and Joint Institute can absolutely help you get there with your health. Inconveniences. That's exactly what injuries are. Whatever stage of life, it just messes things up. Whether you're missing that upcoming season in the rec sport or the youth sport that your son or daughter is playing, or you're just having to struggle through whatever is bothering you physically throughout your work and life. So make sure you check out the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. We got you covered with BetMGM because, look, this weekend is Augusta time, baby. ATOZ Sports is the bonus code if you are a new user. The best part about that is new users, they get bonus bucks back up to $1,000 with the promo code for new users if your first bet loses. So ATOZ Sports, they're the king of the sports book. That is BetMGM. Download it in your Apple or Android store today.
All right, ain't that good news to send us to the weekend? Hope everybody does have a great Easter weekend if you celebrate, and then we'll be back on Monday, that's for sure. But Zach, do you have good news that you want to get to? My good news has a video coming with it, so I don't know if you want to go first.
Yeah, I'll start. Mine's pretty simple because look, we're on the home stretch, let's just say. We're on the home stretch because my wedding is in about a month, May 13th. And so I've got back-to-back bachelor parties. My best friend from high school is getting married 2 weeks after me. His bachelor party is 1 week before mine, and then the NFL draft is 1 week after mine. So I'm about to go through one hell of a stretch. I don't know if this is good news, scary news, or whatever news, but Austin, Texas for his bachelor party, Talladega for my bachelor party the following week, Kansas City, then the NFL draft. And then I got like 1 weekend to decompress, then I get married and go on a honeymoon. So there's a lot going on in my life, which is all, good things, but damn, this is good news that we're on the home stretch, but got a crazy couple of months coming down the pipe my way. So
Yeah,
that's my good news.
No kidding. All right. Jeff says good news. That segment is over. Jay says good news. The silly Carthon debate is over. Titan Scout says good news. Bought a new car yesterday. His brand new Lexus hybrid. Love driving it.
Well, you
Jeff
need to go to Wilson County Hyundai. That's
yeah,
not
that's
good
what I'm
news.
saying. That's right. Jeff Rubel says good news. The AC should be fixed today. It's getting hot in Florida. I hope it gets a little warmer here coming up in Nashville. Matt says new side hustle started already, getting sales quickly. Hopefully it can get to doing this full time and work online anywhere he wants. Matt, best of luck for that side hustle to become the full hustle. Kenyatta says good news, had 2 teeth pulled on Wednesday and it doesn't hurt as bad as they said it would. I feel normal. That's definitely good news. Borkington says good news, work gave them Monday off. So my good news, Zach, is it's that time every year where something happens that I just think is the best way to approach sports talk radio. Having fun and doing weird stuff and getting as creative as possible. And that's exactly what happens every year during the Masters when Chris Vernon gives his Masters update. And Zach, I'm gonna shove this in you a little bit because I edited this down because it's 5 minutes.
I know it's exhausting.
But I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna start it where it start to hurt you a little bit because you had somebody in your Masters pool to win, and then he withdrew pretty early.
And that's what's going on at Augusta. Who else? Who else? Who else? Yo, where is Kevin Na? Yo, where is Kevin Na? He withdrew. He withdrew. He withdrew. He withdrew. Yeah, he did. Oh, Kevin said no. Said no. Oh, Kevin said no. Said no. He ain't walking in a park. Woo. Yo, he walking to his car. Yo, Kevin said no. Hell no. No, Kevin said no. Hell no. That's what's going on at Augusta.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I watched that actually funny this morning, not that clip, because I mean, this goes on for 5 minutes.
So funny. I think it's, some people think it's bad. I think it's amazing. Like if you're going to give a Masters update on Sports Talk Radio, just reading the leaderboard is just a waste of time. But if you're going to give a Masters update, give it with some creativity, some fun, and be ridiculous and look stupid. I think Chris Vernon's Masters updates are hilarious. Kevin said, nah, he's walking to his car. He's not getting par, all that stuff, how he goes with Schauffele, all the funny things one-liners they come up with, they crack me up. It's the right way to do it. I think it's hilarious. Some people might think it's stupid.
Yeah, I
love it. I love it.
It's just redundant in my, like, I can hear it for 5 seconds or maybe 10 seconds, but 5 minutes, they've added to it, right? Because it went viral a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think it's year 3 of him doing that.
Yeah, and so they've added, mascots in the background.
No, that's how it started.
But no, I didn't think there was 3 mascots. Now there's 3.
I'm pretty sure this is what they did. Like I think it's good. They came out big with it.
Though.
They came out big with it. I think it's great. But that is my good news. That the Masters updates from Chris Vernon always make me laugh on the first day of the Masters. That we'll see how it goes on day 2 with the Masters. And look, maybe our audience didn't like it, but I think it's funny. I think it's creative.
Here's a couple of good news to end with. Jason, after retiring from the Marine Corps 4 years ago, finally getting business marketing degree this year. That's awesome. So, Jason, that's good news. And Ron, on the health front, which is always good news when you got good news, tests come back all negative. That's a very good thing. So, Ron, shout out to Ron. There's some good news to close out this Friday. Well, good news that Augusta update is over.
Yeah, you don't like it. You don't like it. I like the Augusta. I like it. It cracks me up. It's great. All right, guys. Hope everybody does have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back on Monday morning. One more week closer to the NFL draft. So make sure you stay safe and have a good one here on A to Z Sports. We'll see you guys Monday morning. Make sure you like the show before you go. We'd appreciate that greatly, and we'll see you soon. Thanks as always.
Adios.